Welcome back to Health Tech Explorers. Did you know that some of the biggest medical breakthroughs, like discovering treatments for tuberculosis or polio, relied not just on biology, but on careful statistical analysis? Without statistics, many life-saving treatments might never have become the standard of care. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of statistics in medicine, exploring its main areas, what biostatistics really means, and why it matters with real-life medical examples. Three main areas of medical statistics. Statistics in medicine can be divided into three main areas: population health statistics. This field studies things like disease rates, mortality, and birth statistics across populations. For example, tracking how many new diabetes cases appear each year, or monitoring maternal mortality rates helps public health officials plan interventions and resources. This area is a cornerstone of public health. Healthcare system statistics. This area analyzes data about our healthcare infrastructure, hospitals, medical staff, equipment, budgets, and how well systems operate overall. For example, measuring hospital bed availability across regions or the ratio of doctors to patients in cities versus rural areas helps policymakers improve care accessibility. Biomedical and medical research statistics, or biostatistics. Now, here's where things get especially interesting. Biostatistics applies statistics to medical and scientific research. Whether it's clinical trials, laboratory experiments, or epidemiological studies, biostatistics helps us make sense of complex medical data and draw reliable conclusions. What is biostatistics? Think about this. A doctor sees one patient at a time, making judgments based on individual lab tests or measurements, say blood pressure or cholesterol levels. But what if we want to understand how an entire population behaves? For example, two groups of people might have the same average height, but one group's heights cluster tightly around that average, while the other has people both very tall and very short. Biostatistics uses methods to capture this variation so we don't get misled by averages alone. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine you're tasting a large pot of soup. One spoonful might be too salty or bland, but sampling several spoons and averaging helps you understand the overall flavor. Biostatistics helps us understand the flavor of a whole patient population, not just one spoonful. Why is biostatistics vital? Imagine a clinical trial testing a new blood pressure medication. Some patients' pressure drops dramatically, others see no change, and a few actually get worse. How do researchers decide if the drug is effective? How do they tell if the outcome is due to the drug or just random chance? Without biostatistics, we'd be left guessing. It helps analyze the mixed results, identify meaningful trends, and make confident decisions that affect millions of patients. Populations and samples. A key concept: we rarely study everyone in a population. Instead, we study a sample. Suppose we want to find out what percentage of young people like rock music. We can't ask every single young person worldwide, so we survey a smaller group, say 1,000. If 30% say they like rock, we infer the same might be true for the whole population. But if our sample is too small or biased, those results can be misleading. For example, a pharmaceutical company once tested a diuretic on only 5 patients, saw positive results, and launched the drug. But larger studies later showed inconsistent effects, an error caused by relying on too small a sample. Other tasks of biostatistics. Besides summarizing group characteristics, biostatistics helps with discovering relationships between factors, like how smoking increases lung cancer risk, studying changes over time, such as tracking disease progression, classifying patients into risk groups and making predictions about outcomes. Applications in medicine. Biostatistics touches nearly every part of healthcare research, evaluating treatment effectiveness in clinical trials, doing epidemiological studies, figuring out how often diseases occur, and identifying risk factors. Testing diagnostic methods for accuracy, conducting laboratory and experimental research, basic terms, variables, and data types. Every medical measurement, like height, weight, blood pressure, or protein levels, is called a variable. These variables can be unpredictable because people differ. They fall into categories: quantitative or numeric, discrete, countable things like doctor visits; continuous, any value, like blood glucose levels; qualitative or categorical, ordinal, categories with order, like mild, moderate, severe; nominal, unordered categories, like blood type. Sampling methods to avoid bias. Accurate conclusions depend on good sampling, random sampling, where study participants are chosen randomly to fairly represent the population; stratified sampling, where the population is divided into groups like age or gender, and samples are gathered from each to ensure everyone's represented. Why should you care about biostatistics? Understanding biostatistics is key to interpreting medical studies you come across in news or journals, participating meaningfully in research and medical decision-making, appreciating how conclusions about new drugs or treatment methods are scientifically grounded. Statistics in medicine is far from dry numbers. It's the backbone of evidence-based healthcare and medical innovation. Biostatistics helps transform data into insights that save lives and improve patient outcomes worldwide. If you found this video insightful, please like and subscribe to Health Tech Explorers. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the science behind the healthcare revolution.